Yeah, g'day Kenyans, welcome to another Workshop Wednesday. Today I want to talk about hauling people back up rope. Now obviously if someone's stuck on rope, the easiest thing to do is lower them down. I've got this set up on a releasable system so I could lower them down if I needed to. We've covered lowerable systems before on the AC group. I'll rehash those videos now that they're in the association, so we'll do that in the future videos for people who aren't familiar with lowerables. But there are times when lowering the person down isn't going to be my best option. Sometimes, whether or not it's easier to rescue from the top, they're not that very far down, they could be unconscious, whatever, raising them up might be the better option to the top. So we need to sort out a system where we can pull them up and we're not pulling all their weight. So say that's 100 kilos down, if I try to pull them up, I've got to try and lift 100 kilos. So we want to take advantage of what they call a mechanical advantage. So it's kind of like when you're a kid on a seesaw, put the light kid all the way at the end, the heavy kid a little bit closer, and it balances out. So what we want to do is set up a system so on one end there's a lot of motion and on the other end there's a lot of effort. So big motion here, a lot of effort here. So we're going to set that up with a pulley system. Okay, so the starting point could be a Z-haul, so they're not very far down. I've got plenty of people up top. A Z-haul is going to give me a 2-to-1, so there's 100 kilos down there, we only really have to pull 50 kilos to pull that weight up. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave that strand in place for the moment. This is my brake strand on my releasable. I'm just going to tie it off. Could use a spare rope, a safety rope, if I'm not on releasable, or even if I am, just to keep the releasable as releasable. But in this effort, I'm just going to lock that off. Now this is going to be my working strand. So what I'm going to do, put a carabiner on that, just lower that down to the person I need to lift. If they're conscious, obviously they can hook up to themselves, so they're going to hook that up to their waist belt. Now what I've got is a Z-haul. So by lifting this up, that's 100 kilos, all I have to do is lift up 50 kilos and that's going to raise them up. If I've got lots of people up here, that may be feasible. Now the problem with this is nothing's capturing my motion. So if I let go, they're going to fall back down. A couple of ways around it, they could put a prusik on their abseil line, and as we're pulling up, they can slide their prusik up the line, and as we let go, this line will catch them, and then we can reset. I could put some sort of motion capture here that will let that slide through, so a prusik, or you come up here and do a redirect, so I'm pulling down and put my capture up here so I've got more control over it. But still, 2-to-1 is pretty hard. Every time you go through a carabiner or over a cliff edge, that friction in the system is going to create inefficiencies. So even though in theory I've got to pull 50 kilos, because I'm going around the carabiner, there's probably a cliff edge there. Not a lot of anchors are up above you, they're down at the ground level, so the rope's dragging across the ground. So in reality, it's probably still 80 kilos I've got to try and pull up. So my next option is to go to a 3-to-1. Right, set up my 3-to-1. I'm going to try and keep everything clean and just use the abseil strand. Rather than set a whole new system up, I'm just going to use the abseil strand. So the first thing I want to do is capture the weight. I'll use my trusty little VT prusik for that one. Okay, so I've just put a prusik on that. Traditionally that would be a French prusik. I'm just using a VT because it's a bit simpler. Now I'm going to release my block and let that prusik take the weight. Just get this all the way out of the road. We're using it. Okay, so I've released that. Let the prusik take the weight. Now I can get a little bit of slack here, and I can use this bit of slack to set up. So traditionally you just go through the anchor, you drop this down. Now if you can get it down to the person, all well and good, clip it into their harness again. 9 times out of 10 though, you're going to have to set up some sort of grab system. And again, you'd probably do that with, traditionally with a Prussic. I don't do it with the T-block. Okay, so now I've got a system where if I'm pulling up on this one, the VT will come in, should let my rope come through, and then when I back off, it'll catch again. I'm going to lose a bit out of the system, but at least it captures my motion. Now, if that's 100 kilos, that 100 kilos is going to be shared between 1, 2, 3 ropes. So now I'm pulling up 33 1/3 kilos to lift my 100. And that's basically your 3 to 1. Now, if you've got plenty of room behind you, you've got a heap of people, you can pull upwards, it's not going to be too bad. As I said, as you come over the cliff edge though, it's really going to reduce your efficiency. So, I always find pulling down is a bit easier than trying to lift up. So, you can put a redirect in up here. And now I can pull down. Now this is just a redirect, so whatever tension's in this rope, which is 33 1/3, is the same as this rope. I'm not actually getting an advantage from this. It's just letting me pull down rather than pull up. A good rule of thumb is if your anchor moves along the rope, so watch when I pull this one, see that's moving along the rope. That's going to give me a mechanical advantage. This one's staying steady, so it's not giving me any mechanical advantage. It's just letting me change direction, basically. Now, that's all well and good. In theory, I'm lifting 33 1/3. As we said, if that's going over cliff edge, it's going to add a heap of friction. Every time it goes through one of these carabiners, it's adding friction, and it's surprising how much effort you lose running over a carabiner or over a cliff edge. So in reality, I'm still probably lifting 70 kilos to try and pull this 100 kilos up. Alright, I've got 10 people, if it's just me though, I'm going to need a little bit more advantage. So what we can do is, instead of using the VT, which is every time that rope tries to pull through is adding friction, instead of using carabiners, we can start using more efficient modern technology, and I'll set up and I'll show you what I've done there. Okay, so got rid of all that stuff, just trying to start again, make it a little bit more efficient. So the VT's got the weight, so I can get a little bit of slack here. I can set up on micro traction, which is basically just a pulley with a one-way cam in it. So I've got my micro traction there, I can just put the VT up until it takes weight, and then I can get rid of the VT. So the advantage of the micro traction is far less friction than what I'm going to get on the VT. Down on the grab end, instead of using a standard carabiner, I'm going to use one of these little beauties. Carabiner with a pulley in it, absolute lifesaver. Takes a hell of a lot of the friction out, makes things a lot easier. So now I've got the same thing, I've got 1, 2, 3 strands that are taking the weight, but instead of having all this friction with Prussics and carabiners, I've got pulleys in place. So as I come up, I'm going to catch my motion, go down, and again, I could put another redirecting up here, just so I'm pulling down instead of pulling up. But again, adding friction, not getting any advantage out of it. The only reason I do this is so I can pull down, or if I haven't got any room behind me to pull that way. So that's a 3 to 1. The next step is to convert that to a 5 to 1. My next option is to try and convert this to a 5-to-1. So I need to go back down and hook back into here. Now instead of using carabiners, I want to go pulleys again. Lucky enough that I've got some pulleys here. Now, who carries all this when they're canyoning? Not too many people. But I have to say, the other weekend when we got involved with the haul system, between the group we had 3 microtractions, we had 3 or 4 clip rolls, and we had a pulley system. So between 8 people we had all that gear. Not a big ask of everyone to carry either one of those or one of those or one of these. So I'll get set up. Okay, so now I've got it set up on a 5-to-1. It's looking a little bit confusing, so let me just run through what it is. So the rope that's attached to our person needing to be hauled comes up through the microtraction, which gives me a pulley and a capture. So it's going to capture all my progress. Comes back down through a pulley, comes up through another pulley, my clip pull, back down to the pulley, and then up. So this is my haul line. So that's just nothing, it's just a redirect at the moment. So now I've got, ignore that one, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ropes taking that 100 kilo weight, which means now when I lift up, I need to lift 20 kilos. So all of a sudden, instead of pulling 100 kilos up the cliff, I'm putting in 20 kilos to lift that 100 kilos. Now, you can see it's a little bit, because of all the friction in the system, it takes a little bit to go. Disadvantage of this is I've got to pull this one 5 metres to move that one 1 metre, so it's going to take a lot more pulling. But I've got heaps of people, I can do that. I can redirect, and again this one's just a redirect, so whatever's in this rope has to be in that rope, so 20 kilos, and I'm losing a little bit for friction again. And that's basically a 5-to-1. So in a real life situation, the other week, perfect example, we didn't have a great deal of room, we didn't have enough rope to get all the way back down to our stuck abseilers. So what we needed to do was constantly reset. So we bring it up a little bit, then reset this one. To do that, I've got to back all this off. Work the tip lock down, go again, go up, lock off, give yourself some slack, work the tip lock down, go up. So as you can see, it's going to take a long time to get someone up. Okay, so if 5-to-1's not good enough, and lifting 20 kilos up a massive drop on your own may not be. If you've got 2 or 3 people, heaps. I actually went to a 9-to-1 the other weekend, and I'll show you how to convert this to a 9-to-1. But basically, a 9-to-1 is just a 3-to-1 on top of a 3-to-1. So basically, we're going to drop out one strand here, which is going to be that one. Instead of going down through my pulley, what I want to do is make another moving anchor onto this one. Now on the weekend we had an extra microtraction, we had an extra tip lock. Today I haven't got that, so I'm just going to use a little Prosic. Okay, so now I've got it set up on a 9-to-1. So instead of going back down to a fixed anchor, I've got another moving anchor up here. So basically I've got a 3-to-1 here, pulling on my 3-to-1 there, which gives me a 9-to-1. So now as I pull this up, and ideally this will be another pulley, as I pull this up, Now I'm only lifting 11 kilos, but I've got to pull 9 meters of this to get that to move 1 meter. So you can see it's going to be very slow. And what we had to do was actually, because we had no room, I have to do a redirect there as well. So now, this one, for every 3 meters I'm pulling this one, is pulling this one a meter. And for every meter I'm pulling this one, that's pulling that one a third of a meter. So 9 to 1, it's going to make things a little bit easier for me. So pull up, lots of resetting though, and really slow for the person on the haul rope. And because we're not using pulleys, you can see you've got to constantly watch the slack in the system to make sure each of those ropes are pulling on. Mind you, if that was really 100 kilos on it, it would probably pull out itself. So that's converting from 2 to 1 to 3 to 1, 5 to 1, and then 9 to 1. Okay, so there's a couple of things you need to be aware of whenever you're setting up a block and tackle haul system. So yep, mechanical advantage works in our favour. While that weight's moving up, yep, 100 kilos down there, spread between all these ropes. Got a 3 to 1 to a 3 to 1, which means I'm only pulling 11.1 kilos here to lift my 100 kilos up. Really nice. The person on the end is going really slow though, so hang syndrome becomes a bit of an issue. If you've got to haul someone, a really good tip is to get them to put some Prusik loops on here. So every now and again they can stand up in their Prusik loops, relieve that pressure off their legs, get the blood flowing. So that's one tip. The other tip is be careful nothing catches. Okay, we've got a heap of advantage coming across here, but as soon as something jams up, so say this one hits a ledge and can't come any further, all of a sudden that advantage becomes an amplification. So I'm 100 kilos round about, I'm putting my whole weight on this, trying to pull this up and it's jammed, my 100 kilos gets amplified, so by the time it gets back here, I'm putting 900 kilos on my anchor. So it's just something to be mindful of. If it's a 3 to 1, then my 100 kilos, put 300 on, if it's 500 kilos, it's 500, but you're amplifying your force here when this gets jammed. If everything's moving freely, all well and good, nice simple system, albeit a little bit slow, but it certainly makes it hauling a 70 kilo mate up 55 metre overhanging drop, made it far easier for me. The foot stirrups would have been a really good idea for him, but that's hauling systems. The Z hauls, the 2 to 1, the 3 to 1, the 5 to 1, the 9 to 1. You wouldn't go any higher than a 9 to 1. So that's it. I'm going to go out into the wild and practice with some mates. It does take a bit of practicing to set up and become efficient at it. Hopefully you learn something from that. Practice it in a safe environment. Have fun out there, stay safe, and catch us.